Hi everyone, it's Tasleem here, and today's video is about how Tango got me in touch with my fire element, which is also connected to the solar plexus chakra, which I will be talking about as well. But for now, let's start with what exactly do I mean by the fire element, because I have spoken about the 5 elements of Chinese medicine in the past, but I do want to recap, especially about fire. But before I do that, to segue into it, I want to tell you that when I was younger, I had a favorite response to most questions. That response was, I don't know. I don't know. Tasleem, what do you want to eat? I don't know. Tasleem, where do you want to go? I don't know. Tasleem, what do you want to wear? I don't know. Okay, maybe that one I was a little bit more picky about, but really, I used to answer with I don't know, because I wasn't sure. Like, I wasn't sure what I wanted to eat or what I felt like. And not to blame anybody else, but I think I had a lot of opinionated people around me, or at least that's what it felt like, because I wasn't sure and they seemed so sure. So I just assumed, well, these people know exactly what they want. So I should probably just go with what they're saying, because I'm not really sure and might make it easier. Like, I was kind of being a people pleaser, but at the same time, I was like, I don't have the confidence, not even just to voice what I want, but I don't know what I want. And they seemed so sure. So I kept practicing, not realizing subconsciously that I was ingraining this pattern, this habit in me of teaching myself that my opinion didn't really matter and I wasn't really sure about things, so it's probably better to go with what other people are saying or doing. And I lived my life like this for the first few years of my life, and probably it went into my adulthood in so many different areas and I didn't see it until much later. But the crazy thing is that I didn't realize that what I was missing was this fire element. Like, fire to me is hugely about deciding, like having the right to decide. I think I was scared of power and control and competition. Like, I never liked competition. And fire is, if it's unbalanced, it can really sit in your fear. Like, you can sit in fire and just be fearful. But then the opposite of that is courage. So when you're really in balance in your fire element, you're really courageous. So, and I don't know if you noticed, but I keep kind of like touching the middle of me here, because that's like the solar plexus chakra kind of sits in this area. That's where like our center is, our drive, our, and that's really connected to our fire. And it took me a really long time to even know, like, I might not have been familiar with the term fire element, but I always thought, like, there's something that other people have that I don't have. Like, as much as I try to go after something that I want, or as much as I try to be like a little bit more, like I'm passionate about things and I'm ambitious, but it wasn't showing up in my expression until I met Tango, the dance. I mean, I didn't realize that, like, there are other dances like salsa, bachata, like kizomba. A lot of dances can bring out some aspects of fire in me, but there was something that tango, like, for me, tango really stood out for me, because there was something about it that actually brought out all these various parts of fire for me. It was the courage, it was the drive, it was the passion, including like sensuality, but also deciding and going after what I want, and this like animal instinct that I think that I was really scared of. And right now, like when I first thought of tango, I never really thought of it as like an animal instinct, because I would see tango dancers and it looked very intense and passionate. But, I started taking tango lessons, and we were practicing like walking differently. Like, okay, what if you walk with more intentionality? What if you're gripping the floor like when you step? Like your different types of cats. So like we would pretend that we were just like an everyday cat, but then what if you're a lion or a tiger or how would you step? Like being a little bit more animalistic about it. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to do this. Like, how do I bring that out in me? I wasn't a child that played like that. Like I didn't show my expression that way. And strangely enough, it wasn't until I got into tango that I was allowed to do this. Don't get me wrong, I didn't do it well in the beginning. I was like terrified. I was like, what do you mean? Like how can I be a feline? Like I don't know. And of course, like if I had asked my students when I was teaching or my nieces now to do this, they'd be like, "Oh, sure." Like they would have fun with it, but I didn't have a clue. And so tango helped me like feel what it feels like in my body to have that animal instinct, to have this sort of like survival instinct to like actually pounce if I wanted to onto something or towards something, or to like go after something that I wanted. And I remember an instructor telling me um, like to make my steps more intentional. He was saying, take me with you. And I was like, wait a second, I'm the follow. Like, I don't know what you're going to do next. So, how do you expect me to take you with me? Like, aren't I supposed to be following and you're supposed to be leading? But when I felt what he meant, it made so much sense to me. Like, not in my mind, not in my brain. It made so much sense to my body, because he was right. Like, I was missing that intentionality, not just in my own step, but also like when he was leading me, he was like, I don't feel you taking me with you. And I was letting someone lead me around instead of taking that lead and going with that momentum and like showing him my presence and my ability to be intentional with his lead, if that makes sense. And it totally changed my dancing. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that I could do this. And like I've talked about these kind of concepts before, I may have learned this in tango, but then I was able to take it in other dances and apply it there. And so going again back to this like solar plexus area, like another aspect of tango that really got me in touch with fire element and solar plexus chakra was like literally this area was such a huge center for our movements. Like we would talk about even before actually moving, like before even traveling, that the initiation would come from this part of our body. And even when we did like ochos or anything that was like a circular movement, it's still initiated from here, even if we were going backwards. Our power, our light, our shining light, like it all was going towards our partner. And for me, like to feel that coming from that center, it allowed me to feel what it feels like when you have a will, like a purpose, like it actually made me move more with purpose. Before tango, I felt like I was moving, I was learning steps, I was, learning salsa or bachata or whatever it was, but I wasn't doing it with this like not just intention but power. And I was scared of power when I was younger. I think I saw power in different people in my family or like society or culture or whatever around me in an unhealthy way. So I connected power to like controlling and um, manipulative and sort of like weakness, because when I would see people in power, I could see how they were like scared. And so they felt like in order to get someone to do what they wanted them to do, they would have to control and belittle. And I just didn't, I was like, I don't want to be like that. But Tango taught me like, no, power is really healthy. Like it can be really healthy. And focusing on the center and getting in touch with my fire element made me feel my power. And the thing is, like, the biggest part of our sense of power is our life force energy. And for me, like, a dance that can get you in touch with your life force energy teaches you how to dance all other dances with your life force, but it also teaches you how to live life with your life force energy, which is like what drives you. And I have been learning from this amazing healer and practitioner, Masami Kove, who reminded us that the Manipura, that chakra, the solar plexus, it's connected to our fire, which in Sanskrit, fire is Agni. It's the Agni. It's the like igniting. But it's like the igniting for me. It's the igniting of your life. Like I'm getting so excited about this. I'm losing my wording because I don't know if there is a word for it, but there is. I just said it, Agni, but like, I mean, I don't know if there's words to describe what I'm trying to say, because it's everything that represents fire to me. It's like passion, it's desire, it's your will, it's your courage, it's your intention. And it's no longer about what other people are telling you what to do, but it's also it's really what you feel is your truth inside you. And you just have this knowing. You know, a lot of people say like intuition comes from your like third eye chakra or your higher chakras, but I feel, and a lot of these practitioners talk a lot about how your third chakra, which is the solar plexus chakra and connected to your fire element, is also part of your intuition. Because when you're in touch with your intuition, it's like, even if you can't explain it to someone else, it doesn't matter. You just know that this is what you have to do. You know that this is something that you need to do, that you desire from deep within you to do. And I feel like Tango really, really brought that out of me. Somewhere I had shoved it down because I listened to too many people that had their own fears, or I thought like, you know, society and culture was saying, well, these things aren't like practical. They're not like, being an adult means that you need to do things more practically, and you're like studying dance and you're doing all these things that maybe you should have done as a kid. But I hadn't actually built these things as a kid. I hadn't played enough. I hadn't gotten angry enough. I hadn't gotten in touch with my opinions and like my preferences at all. And Tango was like, now it's time for us to decide. Now it's time for us to have preferences, to have like this ignition, this igniting inside of you. And they say that your third chakra, the Manipura Chakra, the solar plexus chakra, is like mainly a yellow color with orange, because it's actually supposed to be like the place where, like, it's the sun center. So this is where you like light up from within you. Like, you know, they say people that are really like in their element, a pun intended, totally, are like, they're glowing. It's like they're glowing from the inside, and that's really a big part of your fire element, because your sun center, like, that's where your little universe is, that is your center of your whole self. And when you shut that down because of other people's opinions, when you don't know what your preference is because you've practiced, like me, just people pleasing and saying, oh, okay, let's just do what you want to do, and like, I didn't know what my own opinion is, you shut down that sun of yourself, you shut down that center of yourself, you shut down your own light. And as cheesy as this sounds, I don't care, it's the truth. Tango brought that back to me. Like, it brought my light back to me, and I almost want to say it just brought it to me, because I'm not sure I remember when I had it. So that's pretty powerful. And there's a woman who's a life coach, dating coach, Amelia Nagy, and she says something that is so huge. She says, you know, because I've talked a lot about this in previous videos, but I'm also bringing it up here, that I was scared of competition, but I was also scared of like, I had no connection to my anger. And there is a healthy side to anger, right? Like, it helps you build boundaries, it helps you express your desires, which again is all connected to fire and solar plexus and knowing what you want. And Amelia Nagy says, when you own your rage, when you own your anger, you own your passion, you own your creativity. When you own your rage, it's actually that life force, like I was talking about, like being the prowling cat in Tango, when we were, you know, being practicing, like, how would you walk if you were being like a smooth tango dancer on the floor, but how would you walk if you were prowling like a feline or a tiger? And those are animal instincts. And Amelia Nagy talks a lot about how when we get in touch with that animal instinct, it's actually our right to do that, because it helps us navigate like what we want and make sure that we let go of what we don't want, and it helps us protect us, and we have every right to do that. And she says that it's not a negative thing to have rage or to be in touch with your anger. It's actually a beautiful thing, because when you own your rage, you own your passion. And when she said that, I was like, this makes so much sense to me, because I always wondered, I would look at dancers that were so passionate, especially in tango, and I was like, I can never be like that. I can never be like that, because I don't know what they have in them that allows them to be that way. And I didn't realize that I actually have it in me. I just was shoving it down, and it's the fire element. We all have it in us, like I said before, and I was lucky enough, I don't think it was any coincidence, that I had very fire dominant element instructors of tango. Thank you so much, Nina, who is like the epitome for me of fire element, Nina Perez. Sandro as well, in a completely different way. He taught me Zouk, but he also taught me tango, and I think his fire element was like, I needed to be around that. It was a little scary, because it was like, it felt so opposite to me, but I think it scared me because my body, my system wanted to be in touch with it. And I was like, how do they have that fire can I get it from? And I didn't realize that I can get it from inside myself. And it was such a beautiful thing that Tango was able to teach me where to get that from. And I'm able to use it in so many areas of my life. So I hope this made sense. I know, again, it's quite an abstract topic, and I will be going into other chakras and other dances as well, but I will leave it here for now. If you have any questions or comments, or have anything to say about your own experience of fire element in other dances, please let me know. Thank you so much for listening, and I will speak to you soon.